All right. Well, we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, today to Cloudastructure's monthly webinar. I'm going to start off by doing some introductions, but really the focus of this webinar is on the challenges during the holiday times with security and how perhaps you can layer your security solutions in various shapes and sizes for the holidays. And really the discussion is over technology, but some simple things too. As always, this is for you. And so questions are encouraged, and we want to save most of the time so that we can answer your questions. Feel free to put your questions in the chat or in Q&A, and we will take a look at them as we go. So with that, I'm Lauren O'Brien. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Cloudastructure, and I am very pleased to welcome Ed Bernett, who is the retired VP of Security and Global Fraud Investigations at UPS. During his tenure, Ed led the largest joint UPS and law enforcement investigation in his company's history, involving 17 police jurisdictions. He then went on to win California's Investigation of the Year Award in 2019. And then previously, he served as military investigator for the U.S. Army. We also have our very own Laura Germanine, who is the Vice President of Customer Success at Cloudastructure. She has been instrumental in managing most of our customer success stories, and she'll share some of those today. And she also oversees our remote guarding services and solutions. And so she brings some hands-on experience to what you can do during the holiday season. So with that, just a brief overview of Cloudastructure. We are an award-winning AI cloud surveillance solution. We work with any camera types across hundreds of locations. We also offer integrated remote guarding services and solutions. For those of you not too familiar with remote guarding is essentially eyes in the sky watching your property through the cameras. They get sophisticated AI alerts, notifying them when certain things are happening on your property, and can proactively deter crime. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into it. So challenges of the holiday security season. And this is where, as an audience member, you can put in perhaps some of your challenges so we can address them. But in general, as we all know, there's more packages, 30% increase in packages. Most thefts occur at multifamily communities. And also it's coupled with the time when there's staff shortages, and sometimes hiring decisions for people to cover the property might be not as sufficient as you would like. And then, of course, a lot of missing packages are never recovered and no prosecution occurs. And I'm just going to open it up to Ed and Laura to add some stuff here.
I'll just pick up off of that last point that you made, Lauren, with many packages are never recovered or no prosecution takes place. And there's a stat out there that says, 1 in 7 packages that are stolen are not reported to or only 1 is reported to the police. So usually 6 are not. So most of the time, police reports aren't made by your residents. And what we've found through working with a lot of multifamily properties is that the police can't really do anything unless the resident reports their package being missing. So something that you can really help with is making sure that if your residents do have a package go missing, that they fill out a police report, they submit it to the police, because otherwise, no matter what kind of video we provide, if we have the person's face and license plate on camera, the police can't do anything unless the resident, the person who is supposed to get the package, actually reports to the police that it was stolen, that it's missing. So just a good thing to kind of keep in your mind as you enter the holidays here and all the packages that your residents will be getting.
Yeah, Laura, if I could jump in just real quick on that, just to tag on a little bit. I think everybody has to understand that this is a property crime, and when we're talking about package theft, and the police are responding to much higher threat responses, and it takes a long time on property crimes for them to put good cases together. And if you're not able to provide good video, good investigative details, where the responding officer can take that information and really put the details into their report. Not that it's doing all the work for them, but it's doing a lot of the work for them. And that goes a long way when we're talking about recovery and prosecution. So keep that in mind. And that really goes into some of the topics that I'll talk about here in just a little bit.
So why don't we hand it off to you, Ed, as the package theft expert? Take it away.
Sure. Appreciate the introduction, Lauren, and obviously the opportunity to talk to this subject. This has been near and dear to me for 30 plus years, and it continues to increase year over year, especially with that, how e-commerce is going. But really want to talk about not being an easy target and bad actors targeting multifamily communities that have minimal or no security. They really do their own surveillance and identify those locations that become easy targets. So through the process of identifying your security needs, there's a couple of areas that you need to evaluate. One is your facility's package theft history. Have you had incidents in the past of package theft? When did they occur? How did they occur? How did the bad actors get into your facility? What was stolen? It's really important to identify those areas, along with what's your facility's safety history. Have you had tenants confronted in your parking areas? Have you had people gain access to your facilities that shouldn't be there? I will tell you that bad actors, if they can gain access to your facilities, they will find the mailroom. They will wait and see what type of foot traffic is coming in and out of the mailroom. They'll look for your delivery times, develop a pattern for that, and then you become a very easy target. And criminals talk to criminals, and they share easy targets all the time because it's easy money. Case history has told us in the past that gangs will pay juveniles money per package every day. Because it's really a catch and release for juveniles, where the gang members know they're not going to get into trouble. So it's a bad area that we have to deal with, but unfortunately we do. Then the next is any legal action's been pursued against you, whether that be for previous history of package theft or concerns with that, and safety. Have you had incidents of safety issues where someone has confronted tenants in the parking lot, where there's been complaints being made, where unfortunately a tenant has been injured because of someone approaching them? We know that tenants have two areas that they go when it comes to package theft. One, they'll see it, they'll turn their head because they're scared to get involved, or they do confront the bad actor, which increases the likelihood of having a physical confrontation, which is that's a big problem for everybody involved with that. So if you've had any of these instances in the past, and you know the importance of the liability that comes with those, your duty of care has increased tremendously. So you do have to look at what you're going to do to enhance your security procedures. And I think everybody on this call would agree that doing nothing is not an option. So that leads me into the next slide of how do you layer your security. And this doesn't cover everything, but it does cover some of the basics, and then going into from low to medium to high, some key areas that I'll cover, and then at the end be more than happy to answer any questions or clarify anything. But low is easy access to your property. Do you have minimal security or no security? Do you have anyone that's at your desk? If you have somebody at your desk, at your entry, what are their process? Do you have guards? What are their process? Surveillance. Bad actors, we know when they come onto your property, they're looking to see if you have surveillance. Do you have cameras up? The next bullet point is signage. The importance of signage is critically important to your protecting your property, because when bad actors are looking for easy targets, they're looking for signage that says you're being monitored or you're under video, and they're looking to see where those cameras are, as well as the conviction signs. If you have those signs up, and then you have signs that tell the bad actors that you will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law for criminal activity, they're going to move on to the next location. So that's important. Then you move into the medium area of things that you want to look for. Now, again, this is you're layering security, so you're building on top of low. Do you have property surveillance? And it's important, if you do have property surveillance, what does it cover? Does it cover the gate coming onto your parking lot? Does it cover your parking lots? Does it cover your property? Do you have good angles and it's clear? Are all of your exterior doors monitored with surveillance? Is your mailroom monitored? So knowing where that is and what your critical points of concerns are is very important. Security guards, what is their protocol? It's important to know what each type of guard that you have is responsible to do. If your guard is just a stationary guard that sits at the main entry point, what are their responsibilities? Hopefully, if you have security guards, you have them roaming your property. That is a big deterrent because people see that. Bad actors see guards roaming, but it's very important to know what their protocol is. Are they responsible to roam in the parking lot, around the rec area, around the exterior of your property? Do you have checkpoints throughout your property where they scan so that you know that they're moving around appropriately to your procedures that you've outlined? As well as report writing. It's critical that they're required to make reports on a daily basis, and what generates a report needs to be identified. And most importantly, who's reviewing those reports on a daily basis. Because if the guards learn that nobody is reviewing and asking questions, then my experience is they become very lax in their duties, which increases your liability. Trailers. A lot of multifamily units do not have large mail rooms. So they stack packages in the mail rooms, they stack packages in the hallway, the front desk, and manager's office. If that's the case, you have the opportunity to go to your carrier and ask them to drop a U-Haul trailer or a pod container on your property that they can deliver packages or excess packages into. They can put what we call the seasonal helper during the hours that you identify for your tenants to come and get packages, which is very important. I would highly recommend, if you do place a trailer on your property, that it's under video surveillance so that it prevents the seasonal helper from taking extended breaks, or their friends from coming on property, or bad actors coming and getting into the trailers because they know they're under surveillance. So that's important as well. So then we get into the high area of security, which is some very key areas that you should be addressing. Access control. Do you have access control onto your parking lots? Do you have gates that allow tenants to either be scanned in or have a sticker on their vehicle that allows scanning? Is it monitored? And then also with your exterior doors coming onto your property, making sure that every exterior door has access control so that only the tenants or appropriate individuals can come on property. And then what's the process or procedure for that and the communication to your tenants with access control? We have a term that's called piggybacking. We want to make sure that vehicles aren't allowed to come on property pulling in behind a tenant, so they're aware of that process, as well as pedestrians walking in behind tenants where they shouldn't be there. So that's a concern as well. And then AI surveillance is very good. We used, at my previous employer, we used AI surveillance in a lot of areas. It allows you the opportunity to have very good coverage with video. You have the ability to tailor your checkpoints or your notification points in a manner that you want. So it's very good. The only drawback is that all the things that I'm pretty much talking about is reactionary, and we really want to get into proactive abilities. And that leads me to the remote guarding. My experience with remote guarding has been excellent. And the reason I say that is because it allowed me to reduce my spend for security services, which was significant. It allowed my employees or my investigators to do their primary job, which was to investigate, instead of trying to monitor video, which is very difficult when you're trying to combine jobs. It allows you to have real-time activity notification, which is critical. Not only can you set the parameters for AI within remote guarding, but you can also set parameters for the viewer that is doing the remote guarding to follow your preferences and who's being contacted, how they're being contacted, and what the priority of contact is. When I say the priority of contact, a lot of times we would have either the remote guard notify a security investigator first that covered that area, or if it was an event that required immediate escalation, they could notify the police and then notify the investigator so that we could get the police there right away. Now, when I talk about the proactive nature of remote guarding, the biggest benefit for me and the facilities that I was responsible for was it allowed the mailroom, for example, tenants to come into the mailroom. It triggers the remote guarding. The guard or the individual that's reviewing that video can watch the actions of the individual, make a determination whether that's a tenant, which is pretty clear based on their actions, or if that's an individual that is there for nefarious reasons. then they start doing the activity that triggers a command. So now you have a voice command. If you're familiar with remote guarding, it is a startling event for a bad actor, because the bad actor's in the middle of trying to somewhat be quiet and be in a hurry. And then all of a sudden, they're told, stop what you're doing. You're not supposed to be here. You need to leave immediately. I'm calling the police. That is a proactive measure that will cause the bad actor to flee pretty quickly. And if they don't do that, then the chances of them being caught as they are fleeing by the police increases tremendously. That is how I would review layering your security. Not all of it works for everyone. But again, if you've had instances in the past, whether it's package theft or any type of safety issues, then again, you have to remember that your duty of care increases. And without doing some of these items, then your liability in the event that litigation comes your way increases tremendously. So with that, Lauren, I'll turn it back to you.
All right. Yeah. And the remote guarding, I'm glad you shared some of that, because Laura can give us some specific examples of how effective that is. But Laura, do you want to talk a little bit about how there might be some layering here?
Yeah, I'll kind of take what Ed talked about and show you guys here what you can do, how you can layer with what you already have, what you might be interested in having, what Cloudastructure can offer you to kind of heighten your security at your property. So right now, the biggest thing to start with is having that standard package room. We have a lot of customers where they don't have a package room necessarily. They have a mail room. It's not locked. Packages are left anywhere in the mail room or in the hallway. And we do see a difference between those properties that have a standard package room and that package room locks. Your delivery drivers have access to that package room, that it's a code maybe that your residents also have. So residents, delivery drivers can get in and out of that package room to leave packages, to take packages, but bad actors or people who don't belong on property can't get in there. And with Ed's talk about the trailers, that could be maybe a temporary package room that you add at your property if you don't have one right now. Maybe look at your biggest delivery drivers, if they're UPS, if they're FedEx, and ask if they can put that seasonal trailer at your property, maybe with a seasonal helper. And so packages can be delivered there during, like, outside of office hours, so that they're locked up. They're not left just out in the open for anybody to take and run with. The second layer would be adding cameras. So if you don't have cameras, that alone will make a huge difference. Even just somebody seeing a camera, if they see it, they're going to know they're being monitored. They're going to be less likely to try to take that package. So adding cameras would make a huge difference. And then with that, if you can add AI analytics to your cameras, that will make your life 100 times easier. The efficiency of searching for footage when you have the AI analytics in there, it saves hours of your time, where you can search for person, you can search for package, you can search for bicycle. We're not necessarily just talking package theft. This webinar is about package theft, but there's other things that get stolen too. Bikes get stolen, cars get broken into. So with the AI analytics, you can search for specific objects like a Google search, and it increases your efficiency tenfold. And you can also use the analytics to, not only would we use it for a guard team to set up alerts for our guards, but you can use those analytics to be sent alerts yourself as well. Not that you want to be sent 100 alerts throughout the night, but maybe it's a package room that isn't accessed often, or a mail room that isn't accessed often. And if you have analytics on your cameras, you can set up an alert to send you a text message whenever somebody enters that mail room between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m., if that's when most of your packages are getting stolen. So we can do things like that by adding analytics to your maybe already existing cameras or to your new cameras that you have. And that's something that Cloudastructure offers. The fourth layer would be adding remote guarding, and that is the most proactive approach that you can take, as Ed said. A lot of the other approaches are more reactive. You're trying to look for footage, things like that. Adding remote guarding, and we have our own remote guarding team that does an amazing job, but adding remote guarding will decrease your package theft majorly. It's made such a difference for our customers. I get smiley when I say it because it really has. They've come to us and said they have less packages stolen, they have less bikes stolen, they have less after hours pool activity, things like that, not related to just theft. But the idea of having a speaker, a guard, a live person that can talk through that speaker when they see somebody on camera doing something suspicious. It's like the voice of God coming down on you when you're about to commit a crime. And you can see the panic on suspects' faces. They immediately turn and run. We've deterred mailbox break-ins, package theft, bike theft, car break-ins in the garages, in the parking lots. These are all actual stories that we have with our customers of our remote guards, simply a talk down from our guard team being able to stop an active crime from happening. So that's going to be your biggest proactive approach, is adding remote guarding, having a speaker. And I'll touch really quick on, the importance of speakers with remote guarding so that we can do that talk down. And if you're concerned at all budget wise about speakers, if you already have a camera in an area, we can very easily use what's existing, the cabling that's existing for that camera. It's a pretty inexpensive add-on. Peel off from that cabling, install a speaker, even if it's temporary. You want it there for a couple months and then you won't use it after the holidays, but you have it there to use every holiday season moving forward. It's a pretty expensive add-on, adding a speaker, adding remote guarding for the holiday season if you're concerned about budget when it comes to remote guarding and speakers. And then finally, kind of the pinnacle of our triangle here, the fifth thing that you can do to layer on your security this holiday season is adding maybe additional hours of remote guarding. Maybe you do have remote guarding right now and it's during the nighttime and you're noticing that packages are being stolen even in the early hours of the evening, right after the office closes from 6 to 10 p.m. You can always add additional hours to your remote guarding, even if it's temporary. And you can also add virtual tours or virtual patrols. And what those are is if you want to, again, thinking budget wise, you maybe don't want all of your cameras monitored. You want a small handful of them monitored. You can always add one or two for the holiday season and then have them not monitored moving forward. But you can also add on virtual patrols where we, every 30 minutes or every 1 hour, your guard team, however often you would like, they are not only looking at the cameras that you are actively having monitored, but according to the schedule that you've given them, they act as if they are on property and they click through the live view of every one of your cameras. So not just the ones that you've selected to have monitored, but all of your live views, as if they are that on-site security person that Ed mentioned walking around the property. They would click through the live view of each of your cameras, and that would help catch anything where maybe somebody is loitering in an area that looks like they shouldn't be there. Then we could see that. We could contact on-site security or contact police and let them know and have them escort that person away from the area. So virtual tours, a great add-on. Again, if you don't want all of your cameras monitored, if you're maybe a little worried about budget, add a virtual tour. That is essentially a live view of all of your cameras according to a schedule that you have picked every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you would like there. We can go to the next slide here and I'll touch on just a couple statistics to kind of give a little plug to Cloudastructure, because remote guarding really is, as it says, a game changer. We hold right now consistently, it's just over 98% deterrence rate. And what that means is we have deterred 98% of threatening activity from happening at our customers' properties. So less than 2% of the time does anything escalate. And again, we've deterred package thefts, we've deterred bike thefts, we've deterred car break-ins. We caught a fire in a garage and we reported it quickly enough to where the garage there wasn't major damage to the garage, which it could have been a lot worse. We caught that fire. We were able to call the police and get somebody there, get the fire team there within a couple of minutes. That deterrence rate is huge. The next stat that you're seeing here, also very big, especially for those of you who work at multifamily communities. I know you are always watching your budget, looking at your budget, concerned about budget and your expenses. And our remote guarding reduces on-site guard costs by about 40%. And we've seen it with our current customers. They're able to, once we start guarding, they're able to cut back on their on-site guard hours. A lot of them have reduced to maybe just a couple of hours a night versus 8 to 10 hours a night. Or they've reduced their on-site guards to on-call only, where they're not at the property 8 hours a night. They're only at the property if they get called. Or they are only at the property to do patrols, maybe once an hour, versus again being on site walking around 8 hours of the night. And many of our customers have honestly cut out their on-site security team entirely because our talk downs alone have done the work that their security folks could be doing. And our team, the awesome thing about being remote and eyes in the sky is we can see your entire property at one time. We are getting alerts from your pool area and your package room at the same time, where an on-site guard may only be they can only be in one place at a time unless you have multiple. And so another advantage of adding remote guarding, and it really does reduce those guard costs, whether it be in reducing the personnel that you have on property, reducing the hours that they are on property. Adding in remote guarding will, in the long term, allow you to bring down your overall costs and security.
Yeah, the additional thing I'd like to add here on the ROI for the multifamily property is, as you probably are listening to this, is you're increasing the safety of your property. Your tenants feel safer. So your retention rate is going to be higher and you're able to keep residents. You'll be known as the safer community property for some of your tenants to stay at. And that does add up. Additionally, liability claims, if with this deterrence rate, your claims go down. Like people aren't going to blame you for not having the right security in place. So in addition to the reduction in the guard costs, there's other elements of ROI that our customers are experiencing in a very big way. And also
another one,
go ahead.
I'll just add on one more that we see actually quite a bit. Many of you, again, if you work at multifamily communities, you might have gate entrances, and those often get damaged, and those are not cheap. Those are pretty expensive. And so again, being able to catch that if it's in action during the night, our guards could report that. You'd get an incident report with the picture of the vehicle or the person, or even being able to catch it after the fact with AI analytics and knowing exactly which resident may have damaged your gate, saving you money in the long run with having to replace that gate. That's one that has come up quite a bit at our customers' properties.
Yeah, and gates are expensive, as we know. Okay, so here's a quick little video that kind of explains what we do, and it's an actual scene.
This is a secure area. You are being watched and recorded by a live agent. Please leave immediately.
Okay, that's real footage of talk down. Well, the actual talk down person is our CEO, believe it or not, but we overlaid it for effect. But that is some real scenarios of thief leaving. Okay, so now we're going to open it up to questions from you. Hopefully this has given you a good overview of what to do during the holiday season. And as I take a look here of Q&A and the chat, let's jump into some questions. Ed, you hired a lot of on-site security guards at UPS. What made you look for an alternative? And maybe tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Okay, so I hired an extremely large security guard contingent across the United States. Our spend on that was tremendous. The reason that we started looking for an alternative was because we needed to improve the accuracy of guard coverage. We need to improve the accuracy of reporting, and we needed to make sure that we were able to provide any type of proactive ability to enhance our brand with our customers that we could. And remote guarding provided that to us. We were able to, as I mentioned before, reduce our physical guard spend tremendously. Now, when I say that, if you look at UPS in scope is a huge transportation company, and we have thousands of buildings across the United States. So you can imagine the amount of guard spend that we had with that. So that reduction was quite a bit, but the accuracy in getting information timely, preventing crime with remote guarding as an alternative improved our security function tremendously. And we mentioned it a little bit on the review. When the police are able to get a high quality video and they're able to get details from the person that is watching the activity real time, that enhances the ability to catch the bad actor tenfold.
Yeah, and Laura, maybe speak to what, some folks here might think, wow, I don't have the time to do incident reports. I don't have time to capture this information and start matching stuff. What are some of the things they should look for, and what do we provide in terms of making it easy for folks with the incidents?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things to look for if you're actually trying to look for the footage, you want to find the time that it happened and then you search before and after that. But the great thing about, and using AI analytics, of course, helps you search a lot faster. But with remote guarding and what we offer specifically with our remote guarding package is we do the incident reporting for you. So every time that there is an incident reported, or an incident witnessed, whether it turned criminal or not, we submit an incident report the next day to the customer. And that incident report has our guard agent who handled it, all of their information on there. If the police were contacted, it has the police information on there and which police officer we worked with. And then it contains all of the details about the incident. So there's a summary summarizing what happened, time frames and camera names are in there. There is linked footage. There are snapshots of what happened. All of that is included in the incident report that we send over when it is witnessed. And so that takes a load off of I've been in property management. If you guys work at multifamily properties, I know you are busy and you don't have the extra time to deal with putting together incident reports, and it can be time consuming. And so we want to take that load for you, and we provide you the incident reports that you may need. And those can be submitted directly to the police. All of the linked footage, it's not password protected when it's linked in our incident report. So your police, your investigator, they won't need any credentials to access the footage. They can click on the link that you send them or that is in the incident report, and they can see everything that happened.
Yeah, and we had a police officer in one of our webinars a few months ago, and really those incidents reports are instrumental in preventing future theft and also perhaps catching someone down the line. So very, very effective.
And Lauren, if I could just tag in real quick before the next question, the importance of that remote guard too, when it comes to prosecution, is the witness status. So you are not the witness. It's not secondhand. You don't have to be tied up into court. The remote guard is the actual witness that sees the activity being done. So their witness report is what can be served, and it really helps in eliminating the time that you have to spend any type of depositions or any of that nature.
And to add on to that, just to give some customer examples, because I want everyone on here to know, like, what we're talking about here is real life. We've affected our real life customers with what we've implemented. We've had a couple customers where maybe they have a couple properties nearby each other. A lot of you are probably familiar with that. You have sister properties, and they've had return suspects, the same person or the same two people coming back to the properties, hitting all three properties. And for instances like that, we take it a step further and we provide reports compiling the three properties and giving examples, pictures, footage of all the dates, the pictures, the footage from every time that these suspects were at any of their properties in that area. We compile it all into one report to provide to the police so that the police have plenty of footage, plenty of pictures of these people's faces, license plate, cars, etc. Plenty of evidence showing that they have been at all three of the properties. And so that's just another thing that we do for you to take the load off of you. We recognize that it is the same person going between properties. That's something that you may not catch unless you have time to look through the footage. But our guards see it live every time it happens. So they know this is the same guy that was here last week. This is the same woman that was here last week. And they start putting the pieces together and putting together those compiled reports for you that you could then submit to the police, to your investigator, to whoever you are working with to find the suspects.
Yeah, and this is where the AI comes in as well. You know, with our facial recognition, let's say someone is going across multiple properties, you can actually tag that person as a bad actor so that our guards can get an alert if that person is on property at any time. So you could be, instead of reacting and finding that bad actor after the fact, actually our guards could be alerted before the fact, which is very, very powerful. So that's a great point, Laura. I encourage our participants and to type their questions in. I'm seeing here in the chat. Let's
Looks
see
like
here.
we do have one from Jason.
So you have a problem with car break-ins, 9-story garage. Okay, significant cameras and a walking guard. This sounds like a better solution. Do you help with adding the speakers and voice commands? Yeah, so Laura, why don't you take this?
We do speaker install, we do camera install. Like I said earlier, if you have existing cameras, that's a great budget saver for you, because we can typically use that existing cabling, the wiring, and just peel off from the camera and install a speaker right there. And you could do, if you have, say in a garage, things typically echo, you have 4 cameras on one floor of the garage, you may only need one speaker on that floor because it can be heard across the entire garage floor. You don't necessarily need a speaker for every camera. So that's a good thing to remember there. But we absolutely help with that. The voice commands, if you do decide to go with remote guarding, it's actually it's a live command. And so our guards can cater what they say to what they see. You in the red sweatshirt trying to get into the black SUV, we're calling the police. You need to leave immediately. And so our guard team takes care of all of that. The speakers are also accessible to you if you did want to be peeking at the cameras here and there and do some talk downs yourselves. But yes, we do help with speaker install. We can certainly help you out with that. You have existing cameras, you have existing cameras, so that will help you budget wise. And we do cater the voice commands to what we see.
Yeah, and one of the things, if you have a 9-story garage, there's absolutely no way that one walking guard can be everywhere on those 9 stories. And so, as Ed mentioned earlier, people watch and they'll know, oh, he's on the 9th story right now. I'm going to go down to the 1st and I'm going to start doing my thievery. And our guards can be on all stories at all times. And it's, in fact, at a much lower rate than that physical guard. So their eyes are everywhere and they are getting alerted. And as Laura mentioned earlier, the effectiveness in deterring crime is 98%. When they hear that talk down, they leave. And so it's very, very effective.
And they
Laura, if I could tag you.
No, I was just going to say, when they call the police, the great thing again about guards versus an on-site person trying to figure out where the guy is, our guards, they can see the whole garage. They can say the person is on the 7th floor right now in the southwest corner, and they can tell the police or the on-site guard exactly where they need to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say the same thing, Laura. The critical importance of a multi-story parking garage is the AI capability with that, so that you not only do you give the command, but then you have the ability to actually video the movement of the individual all the way out of the facility. So that's critically important when you're talking about investigation purposes.
So I don't see too many questions here. We do invite you to ask more questions, perhaps even offline. I do want to echo what Kathleen has posted from one of our customers, one of our favorite customers, ConAm, that, if you do implement the right advanced solutions, you can see significant decreases in package theft and crime and incidences overall. And so, to hear from ConAm that their package thefts have disappeared almost entirely, it's amazing, because most people, that's as crime, as we know, this type of crime is on the rise. So to see such a significant decrease, they know not to go there anymore. They'll go somewhere else. And so if you don't have the solutions, you actually might get more. So, and I think, Ed, you touched on that. Okay, so I am going to share my screen just a little bit. I just, as we've been talking about remote guarding, we are offering for the holidays sort of a trial. If you would like to try out our solution, just for $50 a camera a month, if you have 2 cameras in your mailroom, not very expensive investment. For 2 months, you can take a look at our remote guarding solution and see what it's all about. And please reach out to us. I'm at Lauren@cloudastructure.com, or you can do sales@cloudastructure.com. And also, if you have security questions, I'm sure Ed would love to answer your questions as well. And Kathleen will put that information in the chat. I think that concludes our session here. I want to thank Ed for coming, and Laura for providing such great information on our solutions. We encourage you to reach out, ask questions. Happy to help you guys and improve your protection over the holiday season. So thanks again, everyone. Happy holidays, and we hope to hear from you soon.